You know, gardening doesn't have to be complicated, and this garden really has it all. Annuals, perennials, and they're thriving in the heat of the summer. Can't wait to show you around. So Brian, you have different kinds of plants in the garden. Tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind what you do.
Well, I try to go for something like, I like to refer to it as controlled chaos. I like a full garden, and I like to incorporate a lot of natives, and I like to incorporate a lot of ornamentals as well.
Yeah.
And just looking at the site and knowing that this area in the front of the yard gets a lot of full sun, I like to make sure that I'm putting stuff out here that's going to survive and do well. Make this like a prairie condition area where things can take the heat and the humidity. It really bakes in the afternoon here, so we try to.
So to that end, then you have things like the blanket flower.
Yes.
Butterfly weed. Purple cone flower. What are some of the other favorite things that you've got here that really have thrived for you in this situation?
There's 4 varieties of blanket flower. There's Blazing Stars, Leatris, which has done really well this year. It's already
kind of going to seed now, but the plant still looks good.
Yeah, the plant looks great.
You know, it's it is midsummer, late summer, so a lot of those June things have kind of gone by, but the plants are still green. They're still looking good. Lots of pods on the butterfly weed.
Yeah.
And that's an important thing. But you also still have a lot of blooms. There's cosmos that are still flowering down here.
Yeah, and daylilies have been doing really great here. There's some coreopsis still blooming back here.
And then that big, beautiful Russian sage. You know, that's a really drought-tolerant plant, too. Some of the best ones that I know are just planted out, you know, at the end of the street by people's mailboxes. And, you know they never get any care out there. So when it comes to low-maintenance gardening, that's a great one. So you mentioned that you grow a lot of things from seed. Tell me a little bit about your seed starting process.
Well, I usually try to start things where, especially if they're going to be permanent in that location, I try to start them in that area.
Okay.
So like the echinaceas or the purple coneflowers, I started in that spot last year. Of course, they were only about 1/4 of the size that they were this year, but they still bloomed the first year. And then this year they were spectacular and just made a really big impact. So that and the butterfly weeds.
So you actually, in the case of a lot of your wildflowers, you just sow them right in the garden and let nature take its course.
Yes. I sow as much as I can, and of course, you know, you're only going to get about maybe 20% that are going to make it, but I've had really good success with it, so I'm really excited about doing it that way.
Right. There are a few things in this bed. It's a little shadier over here. We're under a tree. I would imagine, though, that by late afternoon, this probably gets a pretty good shot of sun.
It does.
So we have some asters beginning to bloom, one of the earlier asters.
Yes.
And then this really beautiful lily over here.
Those are Henry eye lilies, and they're a variety of tiger lilies from Japan, I believe.
All right. But it's a really unique flower, the way that it curls back so far. It's really fun. So Christopher, you're a little bit more the vegetable and herb gardener.
Yes.
Here. So take me through and show me. We've got herbs here in front of us.
We do. We decided to have the herb garden close to the back door so that when we're cooking, we can just come out here and pinch off whatever we need.
Right.
We do grow several different types of basil, from pineapple basil to standard basil, purple basil.
Right.
Thyme, mint, got some oregano, some chives, pineapple mint as well.
Yeah, a bunch of stuff here. And then flower garden beds sort of incorporated, you know, you've got things just incorporated all together.
Yes, absolutely. We've got the annuals mixed in with more basil here.
Yeah.
I like color, different height, and the depth for it.
Right.
Once the basil is gone, you still have the balsam impatiens going up to the first frost.
Right, and the balsam impatiens just reseed themselves and come back.
They do, and you have to thin those out next year.
Right, you take them out where you don't want them.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So one thing that I've noticed immediately is that you didn't just plunk square beds down in the middle of the backyard.
That's right.
You've given the beds some shape and some design. Talk to me a little bit about your philosophy and how you went about that.
Well, I wanted a bunch of interest and a little bit of rooms created within the garden.
Right.
As you're digging out the bed, you want to have an even organic flow to your design. I don't do square beds because there isn't any visual interest to that. So when you do have curves and you create this one round room with the Lincoln rose in the middle, it almost feels like this is the rose's own garden.
Right. So we had a little room up there, and then you and I have just come through kind of a narrow path that squeezes you down, and then it pushes you out into the next room.
That's right.
I think that's a really important thing for people to know and to take note of.
That's right. And then it leads you right into the seating areas for guests to come over for barbecues and grillings.
Well, one other thing that I like that you guys have done is this screening that you've done across the back. And I would imagine by the end of the summer, that'll be lush and full, and
it will.
Those purple hyacinth bean vines.
Yes, last year I started those by seed and had too many on one fence and it tore it down. So this year it's just one bean per each one.
Okay.
In the middle we have the moonflower.
All right. Tomatoes obviously are doing well. You've got lots of fruit starting to set. Have you harvested any yet?
I have. I've done 3 harvests already. These are all heirlooms. I've got Mr. Stripey, and it gets about this large. I got German Queen, and I've got San Marzano.
Okay, so 3 different kinds.
Yes, yes. And behind us, we've got all the peppers, the bell peppers, and the jalapenos, the bananas.
I know that you have some things in the garden that really reseed themselves. Tell us a little bit about some of those plants and kind of how you manage them.
Well, the balsam and patience were obviously an heirloom that we bought and started in a very small area of the garden, and they reseeded everywhere. So they've kind of taken over, but they've been a blessing for some of the plants because they're shading some of the perennials that need it.
And they're a great filler plant. You know, balsam impatiens also called touch me not, because when you touch that little seed pod, it pops open and flings its seed everywhere. So, and then the moonflower or the datura.
Those are actually a volunteer plant that we got from a friend that had given us some iris divisions, and they came up, and I was really surprised and really pleasantly surprised because I wanted to grow them. I'm growing another variety over there. So these have been awesome. They've been doing fantastic. Like the other day there were 12 blooms open in the morning.
Right, and they love the heat. This is their time of year to be really happy.
Absolutely.
Christopher, I know you mentioned to me that you guys do this because you love it, obviously, but that also the neighbors really have enjoyed this, that people drive by and comment or walk by and comment.
That's right.
You know, do you get a lot of people just walking by or walking through to see what's blooming today?
Well, a lot of people walk by and they give us great compliments, and I always tell them, stop by, walk through the garden. We designed it for that. We designed it for the neighborhood people to come and enjoy. We have had a few people stop by and just take their time and just mesmerized in it.
Well, that's a great thing, and I want to thank you for letting us come and see the garden, giving us this little garden tour.
Thank you.
To thank you also for just sharing. I think that's one of the things that gardening really, to me, is all about, is sharing it with other people.
Absolutely.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel, and like us on Facebook.